I'm Jess Gangemi. I'm a senior solution advisor here at Medallia, and I'm joined by Jason Balliet, our VP of product. And we specialize not only in just digital transformation, but real-time orchestration. What does that mean? It's that term's thrown around a lot. So today we're going to talk about what it means to close the loop across digital channels and signals. And you're going to be working with your tables today on a workshop that we're going to train you on how to work more effectively with your digital teams to close the loop. And what does that really mean? Because as CX practitioners, we're trained to believe I got to follow up with that customer, and that just doesn't work with the volumes that we have on digital channels. Does anyone know what does it mean to close the loop with digital? I'm curious. I've gotten this question now. I've been in Medallia for almost a decade, and I've gotten the question of even 10 years ago, how do I close the loop with customers in digital? And they're always thinking about, do I have to follow up with that customer? And I say, you don't. It's just not possible. We're in a world where resources are not abundant to have those experiences with our customers. So here's what we're going to do today. We're going to define what closed loop means in digital, and this means a few different things. We're going to work on a workshop together, and then we're going to give you some best practices to take home with you. All right, let's get into it. So what does it mean to close the loop in digital? I see this as three things. First is one you're probably familiar with, which is the outer loop improvements. So you've identified something where either your customers are leaving your feedback or you're hearing from the call center that calls are going up because a promo code didn't work or something's wrong overall in the experience, and you go fix that. You go work with your product teams, you complain to the other guys, you go point fingers and say, someone needs to fix this and let's change this experience. So this is very common. This is what's done as CX practitioners across all organizations. So you're probably familiar with this. This is where we're going, and this is where clients are going, and you'd be surprised how possible it is. Real-time intervention. Acknowledging something's happening and intervening in the moment as near real-time as possible. We think at organizations that this is too hard to do. We don't have the technology, but that's really not true. If you have Medallia, you actually have one part of the equation to listen for what the customer is telling you and then do something about it. But what are examples of this? So we could have a situation where a customer is trying to do something, maybe sign up for a small business loan or upgrade their phone. We've all tried to upgrade our phone on the website, and I see people nodding their heads, and you end up just going to the store. How can you take that and ask, did you find what you're looking for, or you sense the frustration is happening, and maybe direct them to chat or give them a call back? I was just at dinner with Dick's Sporting Goods last night. Bill from Dick's Sporting Goods was saying, in the store experience, it's all about the store experience for them, right? But digital is a tool to capture data, and it already has a ton of data, right? So when someone leaves the store and you ask them how their store experience was, you're getting store feedback, sure, but what if that customer says, I couldn't find what I was looking for? In that moment, we can take that data from the survey from Medallia and maybe call back that customer, because we can say, hey, I found your order that you're looking for in another store, or trigger a chat experience to be able to capture the sale, right? So what does this mean for your business? Think about the organizations that you're in. What are the moments that there's friction occurring and it's high value that you need to capture the sale or save loyalty or improve that experience to do something about that acknowledgement? And then the last piece is when you're putting this all in action and you're doing it together with teams, and you built an ownership, action, and governance model around this. So you have steering committees, customer care, and digital teams really working together. So this is what it means. And a lot of our clients are really afraid of the one in the middle, but I promise you probably have the tools to do it. You just have to put your mind together and figure out the right use case. So that's what we're going to train you to do today.
So Jess, another way that you all can look at this is through an actioning lens, right? So if you think about it from taking action, that first level, the outer loop, think of that as reactive. You're finding things that have happened already, you're reacting to them, but you're trying to mitigate or minimize them, right? Think of the middle one as proactive. You are proactively trying to guide them down the right path and get them to a better outcome. And the last one, think of as preemptive, which is you're putting governance and policies in place so that you mitigate or stop things from happening in the future. So when you look at it, you have to look at it through that lens as well.
the challenge with a lot of our clients, and it's not a bad challenge, it's a good challenge, but that's why we're here to help you advance, is a lot of teams stop at number 1. And even number 1 is hard to do, right? Going to tell your teams to fix something, and I know that that's sometimes the bane of our existence as CX practitioners. But how do you build this together? When you can do real-time intervention, I promise you someone in marketing is gonna care about it. Someone in revenue or product is gonna care about it, or because they're gonna get the sale, we're gonna save the loyalty, and you can really drive outcomes. So, like I said, true digital CX maturity requires all 3 working together.
Okay, so before we dive into the hands-on portion, I just want to share a core principle that really we're going to work with today, right? And it's a statement that I believe perfectly encapsulates our goal today. Data without insights is meaningless. And I love the second part. Insights without action is pointless. There is no need for us to be gathering insights if we don't have them. So think about that for a moment, right? We have the data, and we've begun to uncover those insights. Now, for the rest of the session in our workshop, it's dedicated to actually taking that to execution, right? How do we turn that into something that's going to set us up for great outcomes? You heard that today, the last few days over through the different keynotes. Outcomes drive everything, right? So we want to really use actioning to drive outcomes. So we're, moving from that understanding to execution phase. But when we take action across all of those pillars, it really does unlock a lot of value, right? You can think of it in the 3 major buckets, right? First is it saves money by lowering the cost to serve, resolving problems in journeys, and deflecting those avoidable contacts from high cost service channels, right? So that will save you the money that's there. It's a revenue generator, so it makes you money. So by growing revenue through smarter experiences that remove conversational blockers and unlock cross-sell and upsell and things of that nature, right? And it also reduces risk, right? Allows those faster, more confident decisions that align teams around shared signals and make strategic investments backed by real behavior. So you're not making those investments based on assumption. You actually have the behavior to do it. So by taking action based on that, it's going to unlock a lot of those outcomes we talked about over the last few days. So what we want you to do is select a use case, and I'll walk through them in a second, and outline the strategy for developing your closed loop workflow designed to prompt real-time action and achieve specific business goals that are there, right? So the use cases that you can pick from, choose any one you want, is one, your organization wants to increase the percentage of upgrades that happen online, right? So in-channel upgrades. So customers end up going in store or in the call center versus fulfilling online, right? The second one you can choose is your organization wants to increase small business signups, but currently digital feedback mentions that those offerings are too confusing. And then third, your organization wants to increase mobile app conversions. Notices that a lot of customers leave items in the cart, like in the mobile app, then go to purchase in store or go to like a web browser or desktop. They don't complete that's there. So you can choose any one of those that you want to work with as sort of your baseline premise from an organization perspective.
And we are gonna call on a table afterwards. Here's how to go about it. Think about your hypothesis. Go back to grade school and think about, what are you trying to do? So a hypothesis could be customers aren't upgrading, or customers aren't doing this because it's too confusing and there's too many options. We all have these opinions, right? So how do you form a hypothesis on something that's causing friction within a journey? And write that down. And then think about the data that you have. What do we know? What can we collect? What are we asking? Is this data information that we can use to acknowledge and drive some level of action? So, for example, when they submit a survey and they say this is what I consult a lot of our clients on. If you know someone has answered the survey in the moment and said, I can't find what I'm looking for, by the way, we expose that technically, so you can pick it up and do something about it at Medallia. So they told us they couldn't achieve what they came here to do, or they told us they were confused. So we know we have that data. We can collect this information from them. So that could be around your data strategy as well. The survey answers are a part of it. You're going to get a cheat sheet after this, and it's on your tables as well of what other data do we know? What can we collect? How do we take the hypothesis and start to build the next thing, which is the workflow design? So determine how you're going to rebuild a new experience. Really think innovatively and think, what is the workflow? When they do this, trigger this, pop a chat, whatever it is that we need to save that customer experience. And then you can really measure the outcomes. So this is going to be the workshop. And it helps when you can organize your brain in this way. And so that is how we've organized the activity today.
Here are your data sources, right? So we're going to use these 5 critical data sources to define and refine your closed loop, okay? I won't go through each one. They're all at your desk, right? But just as a general premise, so these data sources, it's complete. Hopefully you all have access to this everywhere you go, but we're giving you the best leg up to define the best strategy possible, right? This will give you a total comprehensive view of everything you might know about a customer, right? Combines direct feedback with behavioral data from digital, from omni-channel journeys, and it's further enriched by contact center interactions and factual information from your other systems of record, CDPs, CRMs, things of that nature. So this is really a holistic set of data that should inform your strategy. So as you start to pick data sources, one thing we'd like to hear from you is also why? What did you see in that data set that might help you form out that strategy that's there? And we're all going to walk around and talk and help you with these things. So
We've got 3 use cases. If you're feeling crazy and you wanna make up your own,
make it,
by all means. But
yeah.
think about the problem. We try to categorize it by a telco, a bank, and particularly just like the digital team wants in-app conversions to occur. So what can we do? And then when we
And
come back, we will talk to you about how we would do it, or, we'd love for any of the tables to share.
someone asked about whether some of these swim lanes are the same, the verticals, reactive, proactive, preemptive sort of things. They are different, they may be nuanced, but they are related as well. So for example, your reactive side where you close the loop, if you found somebody was not getting done something online, you had feedback that said it was because the website was too confusing, whatever that might be, you're going to close that and fix those problems. But when you get to proactive, I'm going to put something like digital experience in the middle of that. And I'm going to know when someone's having a bad experience right then and there. I'm going to pop those chat messages to help them resolve that, right? And then I'm going to fix the policy side or the technical side preemptively to mitigate those problems from happening in the future. So again, they don't have to be thought of as separate, although they might have separate hypotheses as to why you're running into those problems. They're not necessarily distinct things that you solve individually. They can be, and most likely will be, related. All right?
And don't be afraid to actually use the survey to validate
Yep.
that that is an issue, because then otherwise we're dreaming up a use case or a workflow that may not be right for the customer. So the survey in these scenarios becomes the tool to orchestrate a new experience. It becomes the tool to give us the data that we need to prove is right in our hypothesis that this customer was confused. They did not do this and they could not do this because of X. Now you have every right to
Yep.
do something about that.
Okay, so who's going to go first? We're not going to do all three for one team. Who wants to volunteer for the outer loop? Anyone want to share their outer loop? My back table with too many medallions on it? Yes.
All right, so we chose the major telco wanting to increase the percentage of upgrades happening online.
Yep.
Our hypothesis was that people were frustrated about the fees and didn't understand why they were being charged certain prices as they were going through the process, and as measured by abandonment percentage going down when they were about to upgrade. We said that some of the data that we could use was journey behaviors like increased online upgrades and decreased agent and in-store upgrades, and then digital cart abandonment going down, kind of like what we mentioned just this moment ago. And then for the workflow, we said we would want to show some new pricing transparency upfront. And then if someone still closes that out, maybe trigger a digital intercept asking them why. And then the outcome is improving this pricing transparency we think are going to lead to more online upgrades. So
So how would you measure the outcome though? Any ideas about how you might, what KPIs? Would it just be around the abandonment percentages changing? Like what would be the outcome that we might focus on?
The abandonment percentage is going up, or going down,
Going down.
and then
Yep.
revenue, um, and of course, like we can probably see from the journey that that online upgrades are ticking up.
Okay. Cool. Anyone else want to share column one?
We also picked scenario number 1, but we did intervention piece. So our hypothesis, if we pro ar automatically identify friction to offer some sort of proactive intervention, then we can help customers, complete their upgrade and convert. The data that we can potentially use is, DXA to measure friction in the experience,
Yep.
but also, how many customers actually enter the purchase flow, complete that, call to action to complete purchase or upgrade, and then also fall off stats throughout the purchase funnel. So if there's like 3, 4, 5 pages, where is that fall off
Yep.
happening?
Yep.
Some workflows, intervention ideas that we had is if the customer encounters some sort of error message, so clearer messaging. So instead of just, oops, something went wrong, actually give them a next step or where to go or what to do next. Also, offer guided AI-driven assistance. So if we see them having friction around particular area, give them that additional guidance based on
Sure.
what they've already done and what they're doing.
Yep.
Or if it gets to the point where they want to talk to somebody, give them that proactive chat option, or even if they want to go to the store, help them make an appointment, connect with someone, and then pass that information and have it ready for when they go to that visit.
Yes, your real-time tools, chat is always an option. It's like survey first, then chat to validate and then help. Validate, then help. But there's also and almost every client has their own chat vendor. So
Yep.
Medallia can work with that chat vendor to send the customers to the right experience so that you can decrease actually the calls to the call center and solve that issue in the channel. That's great.
So two more things you might think of using there. One is your CRM data, because maybe there's some channel preferences or things would tell you whether chat or something else might be a better option, right? So you can make sure it's very tailored to the people that are there, right? So that might be one that we could also add to that, right? But that's great. Very good. Yeah.
So we've got one last slide to show you how we do it, and then we are going to head out and see the amazing ending keynote. But this is the way that we were thinking about this, and this is a real life example. Actually, I'm working with a client on this right now. Customers are confused during the upgrade process, and it's funny, everyone knows we all go through this. You just go to a store. Telcos are trying to fix this, and I think this happens across a lot of industries. And what are those experiences that don't end up finishing within the digital channel? And it's on us as CX practitioners to figure out how to remove it from the other channels because nobody wants in the call center and stores are expensive to sustain. We know that customers are confused during the upgrade process or sign up process. We know that there's some operational data to validate that there's an actual issue. We hear it in the call center. We see it in where the traffic's happening, either in the stores. And we've got an abandonment event. We know that someone is taking their mouse and leaving the page. That is a data source that you can use all day long, and your digital teams and Medallia both can recognize that to then ask a survey of, do you need help? Are you trying to complete the process? Is it and kind of building out the design of that survey that again validates the experience. And the closed loop workflow becomes when customers are in the upgrade or purchase or sign up flow, we recognize frustration or confusion, and that could be in really any ways. You don't have to have digital experience analytics or behavior analytics to get that. You can recognize the abandonment is happening and offer a survey that asks them if they need help. And when they say they need help, trigger a chat for on-demand assistance. And the outcomes become increased upgrades or signups within that low-cost channel, reduced call volume, and ultimately happier customers.
Hopefully you had fun talking to each other. I saw a lot of people interacting. It was awesome. It was great. We're here for any other questions. We're here for some follow-ups. I hope you guys had some fun doing this. We hope it was insightful, and we appreciate your time. So
Thank
thanks.
you, everyone.